Sound the horn, it's on the mariachi singing my song. Viva toda mi gente, party on the dance floor so caliente. See why you hating, cause we taking over your nation.
The Inward Nine.
So me ho, can't take another shot, can't hang conmigo. See our time is lethal, so order another round for my Mexican people.
Welcome back to the Inward Nine, guys. My name's Jeff Ulrich. This is a fantasy golf metrics production, as always. And yeah, we're going to be tuning our own horn a little bit at the start of the podcast. Hit another outright winner in week four here, with Justin Thomas. Had another full top 10 payout with Emiliano Grillo. So the FGM bets paid off again. And quite frankly, we almost also hit Alex Noren. Obviously can't hit two outright winners in 1 week, but we had Alex Noren as an outright. He was right there at the end. So it was a great week for that. Steve, overall, how was your feeling about the week, fantasy-wise, bets-wise, whatever?
I mean, you pretty much hit it on the head there. We felt really good. Day one we had Noren come out the gates. He was the first-round leader. I know. So one of our users actually went first-round leader, hit him. So that was exciting. But yeah, I mean, Noren, JT in it, Real in it, John Hutt in it, kind of faded on Sunday. So a lot of the bets. Listen, it's really exciting for us to have this product out there where we're doing it subscribers only. We get 4 straight weeks where we don't really have any losses. We have a big winner week one, back-to-back weeks where we hit like a top 5 or a top 10, couple top 10s, and we lose a couple dollars, then we come back with a winner. I know 10 to 1's not the most exciting thing, but listen, if you didn't bet them, you lost. So 10 to 1's better than 0 to 0. That's the way I'm looking at it. I think we were all rooting for Noren.
By the way, I forgot to introduce you. I mean, people probably know by now. This is Stephen Richter, co-founder of Fantasy Golf Metrics. And yeah, I mean, we were high on, you guys especially, you were high on Justin Thomas last week. He's first in our survival guide. You got to be confident on a guy to bet him when he's, 10 to 1 in a field like that. And you were, and that's what, he paid off for. So sometimes you got to go with the smaller odds. I mean, it's tricky with betting, knowing when to bet these guys when they get down to 12 to 1. But, JT has won, I think it's like 7 times in his last 30 some odd events now. So he was, he's hitting at that rate right now. So it looks like smaller odds, we always talk about these 50 to 1 guys, but hey, good call, man. And again, just to recap off the top here, I know sometimes people like to question things on Twitter, but I mean, Steve and Bobby, the co-founders of the site, they've been back testing this data. They didn't even start releasing bets until end of last year, I think. And, I was watching them, and I can vouch for these guys. They know what they're doing. So you're in good hands. We'll obviously try and keep it going here at the year. Got a good ROI to start, though. But anything else that caught your eye about this tournament, or anything else you want to talk about? There's a couple things I want to talk about for sure, but I mean, I'll let you go first.
I think people that have listened to me or seen a lot of the tweets I've put out there, I love when it's tough like this, and I think there's a lot of excitement around how difficult it was. I mean, it was birdie fest after birdie fest to start the year, and to have it come out and have a single digit under par winner. I think that was really exciting to see. A lot of the world's best players were gritting it out. Tiger obviously played extremely well, surprised a lot of people. Not you. I mean, you were actually, I remember one thing that you commented on was kind of like it's target golf at this course, and you thought that might fit him well, and he turned it around with the approach. He led the field in proximity to the hole, which is obviously a real strong stat regardless of who it is or whatever field it is. So yeah, I mean, listen, between how exciting the tournament was, we've had a nice string of ROI for us, like you said. For FGM bets, we're up 78.5% on the year. So all around, fun tournament, fun to win, and now we get our first WGC of the calendar year. So what did you like about the Honda that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, no, for me it was definitely one of my favorite events. I mean, seeing guys like Tommy Fleetwood come over and just basically becoming one of the most elite players in the world. He played well. Obviously, Alex Noren continuing the run. He had another huge Sunday. Really got unlucky on 18 that he probably, if that ball goes in the bunker, I think it's an auto birdie, and then he's in the playoff too. And then, Tiger, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. He really did turn around when it came to Florida. I thought it might help him. I thought the fact he's from Florida, he's played these a little bit more familiar with these courses, a little bit easier. Just in some of the ways I think just for his setup, I just feel like maybe mentally it's easier for him. And it was true. And it's just, the ball speed, And the way he's swinging it, he was like, I think he was third in driving distance this week, man. Like, that's crazy. Guy's 41 coming off like multiple back surgeries. I'm really pumped for the Masters to see Tiger Woods. I really think he's going to be in it. Maybe I'm just getting like my hopes up, but I really feel like he is going to be contending at Augusta in a month or so. So that's going to be awesome to watch. He's got a couple more starts left, and then we got to talk about the Justin Thomas thing. I mean, neither of us actually saw this, but Justin Thomas threw out a fan on the 17th. I think it was the 17th hole because he yelled for Justin Thomas's ball to get in the bunker. I mean, okay, you can call Justin Thomas soft for it, but like let's really put the blame where it is. It's on the PGA. Like, golf is different from any other sport. You get right close to the players. I mean, there's no boards separating. There's no 100 meters between you and the field. You're right there in the players, and there's no security. PGA basically just lets people do what they want. It's been getting worse and worse, and the players got to take a stand at some point. They got to act as their own security. Did he overreact in the moment? Probably, but I mean, like, you can't really get on the guy. I'm not going to defend the idiot fan over Justin Thomas in that situation anyway. So I get it when people say it's a little overreacting, but that's just my take on it. I don't know if you have any feelings. I just wanted to get that out there.
No, I agree. I think the conversation it can be contextual at times, but if you make it contextual, then it's like sometimes it's allowed, sometimes it's not. And whether you agree, it's kind of petty because listen, other sports, obviously people are getting heckled all the time. Nonstop. I mean, people are trying to take a free throw and you got someone dancing without their shirt off behind the backboard. So obviously, a different conversation there. But listen, it's not the culture of the game, and that's why we have Phoenix and we love it for that one hole, and it's what happens. But it's not that we don't want fans to have fun and we're worried about the game shrinking, so we want to include everyone. It's just it doesn't mean we just give up what makes the game great in terms of how we're supposed to act and our etiquette out there. So listen. Should someone get thrown out? I don't know. Maybe they should have a rule where they can't be near that group anymore. I don't need them to get thrown out, but I have zero problem with there being some sort of disciplinary action for a guy that's heckling. I mean, listen, it was a joke in Happy Gilmore, and everyone quotes it when the guy's yelling at him, "You jackass." But in real life, it's just not what the sport's about.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, you nailed it, because the problem is the PGA doesn't have anything set up to penalize fans or to people to step in and say you're over the line, go take a timeout, you 40-year-old adult who probably drank too much or whatever, right? Justin Thomas has to step in, and once the player steps in, I mean, he's just going to kick him out, because why wouldn't he, right? So there's got to be a system. The bad thing that's going to happen, in my opinion, is that this animosity between fans and players is going to get worse, and then some idiot is going to go way over the line, maybe cause a player to lose, maybe just do something really stupid. I take it back to tennis, the Monica Seles situation. Hopefully we don't see something like that, but I'm just saying, with how close fans are in professional golf tournaments, it's got the possibility something like that happens. So hopefully we don't have to come to that point, but in my opinion, it is the PGA Tour's fault in that situation. They got to step up something. But let's stop talking about that, because people probably don't want to talk about it too much. But one last thing, we still got the FanDuel offer going on for the site too, right? See?
Yeah, I mean, it's been real successful. We've had a lot of people join on there. I wasn't sure how many of our users had already started a FanDuel account, but a bunch of people have jumped on there. It's a great deal. $30 deposit onto FanDuel if you've never deposited into FanDuel before, and you get a free subscription for us, which is $119. So it's a pretty big gap there. I mean, you're saving about $90 on the subscription. And listen, if you go in there and you do a $30 double up and you win on FanDuel, then you're going to get that money right back and you get a free subscription from us. So real excited about that. Don't want any of our current users to feel left behind. Obviously, our early supporters, anyone that doesn't have a FanDuel account that has already signed up for the year for us, if they do register and deposit $30, we will give them the next year free. So they'll still get that free year on their renewal. So we're keeping it fair for everyone, but we're really excited because it's an offer where you basically get our product for $30. So you can't beat that.
Yeah, and it is nice that FanDuel has a bit of a different setup for their fantasy golf. I like that. So obviously, DraftKings has the biggest tournaments, but going on FanDuel and getting exposure, you can get exposure to different players, different salary structure, is worth it in my opinion. So it's good for fantasy draft too. I mean, I think at least they're offering original products, which I like from those other two sites. So Should we talk about one and done just briefly? Do you want to just maybe give the percentages of guys who took JT last week?
Yeah, let me bring that up. We got a new change in the guard. We got MJ, who he was like lurking, and Leaflander's the guy that had only picked 4 guys. So yeah, a couple of guys. So let's see. It looks like only a handful of people picked Justin Thomas. It looks like 10 people picked him. None of them chose him for wild card. So it's only 1.63% picked him. Got that full 1.18 million. No one had Luke List. A handful of people, including yours truly, had Alex Noren. So yeah, I mean a lot of movements up top. I mean what is that, 6 events in for us in terms of this? I believe I think it's 7 on the year, 6 for this. So we got 4 left for the first $25 for free we're giving out, and it's pretty much anyone's game, like you said. I mean anyone in a 4-5 week sprint can hit 2 winners, and all of a sudden they're in the conversation. So again, the contest is open to anyone. I had 2 people join in the last week, even though it's been a couple weeks in, because we don't care. We want to get as many people involved as possible. But yeah, MJ is the first person to hit the 4 million mark. Leaflander, the guy that only picks about half the time, is in second.
The savant. Leaflander, the savant. We'll just call him the savant.
So
I'm surprised that only a few people picked JT. I mean, we had him at the first of survival guide. We did pick, like, you picked him to win. So maybe the FGM subscribers just need to believe a little bit more in what's going on here, guys. I'll just throw that out there. When we got a guy ranked first, you want to take him in one and done. But anyways, that's last week. Let's move on to this week. WGC Mexico. I don't know. This event I'm still not really sold on loving this event. I just don't really love the WGCs in general. I think they're like a stupid. I think they're so dumb, man. Like just the way they're set up and the way how you get in and stuff like that, and the fact they pay players just to show up. I just don't like the setup. I think the idea behind them having more of a elite field is fine, but I just wish they'd go about them differently. But anyways, I will say this: the players liked the course last year, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the golf course, but it's an older style golf course in Mexico City. Par 71. It's at major altitude, 8K feet. So, I mean, it plays 7,300 yards, but the ball, like, goes way further, obviously. So you're going to see some, like, 400-yard drives or something, probably. Do you have any do you want to throw out anything about the WGC or just in general or the course?
Well, I'm just looking at your outline, and I love that you called it the golf club Chipotle. That's what you put in the outline you sent to me for the night. So that's I can appreciate that. But yeah. Listen, it's an interesting course because I think when you look at courses out of Mexico or South America, things like that, you don't get in your mind the vision of what this course is. Not like you should one way or the other, but I feel like you think more open, more tropical. There's a lot of chutes, there's a lot of tree-lined fairways. As for WGCs, I personally like them a lot just because you get the better talent. This is the first time we're going to see a handful of these players test their mettle against, the other best players in the game. Is it a little cheesy that it's, a guaranteed cut with 70 guys? Yes and no, but that's the only way you're going to get these people to come to it. That's the thing. So it's the give and take, and I'm all right with it. I like the fact that we get to see a handful of these players. I don't care where it is. I don't know much about the course. Obviously, it doesn't have a history like some of the other events like Bridgestone and Firestone out there. So I do love the event. But one way or the other, it's just good to see the best talent out there. So
now that you can't argue with that. Obviously, I wish they do a bit more of a series, maybe like a point thing, and there was a bonus for the WGC, the best WGC finishes, something like that. And I also the main thing that bugs me is the qualifying. Like, I mean, we can go through some of these guys in the field, but like, are you telling me like you don't want to see, say, like Luke List or Adam Scott over? I mean, like Gavin Green, Brandon Stone. I mean, Brandon Stone's okay. He's been crap. Like, I don't know, man.
I can agree with that. I mean, there's some names here. I'm not even too sure. I mean, I don't know who Chris Paisley is.
Chris Paisley's actually been really good lately. Yeah, he's a young English golfer. Just won his first event over in Europe. I know because I backed him like top 20s a bunch last year. And actually, he pays off. He's been solid. He actually pretty much earned his way in because he just won. But there's a couple of these guys who, like a couple of the Asian tier players, probably. There's a couple good ones, but there's also a couple crap ones. So, I don't like the qualifying either. So I don't know. It is what it is. At least, like you said, we get the best talent together. So that's that's about all you can hope for, I guess. Let's move right into talking about the field, though. I mean, that's what we're here to do. So, um, off the top, obviously, all the big, obviously Rory and Jason Day aren't here, but do we just keep sticking to Justin Thomas this week? He was first in strokes gained approaches last week. I think he was fourth the week before. DJ won at this event last year, being first in strokes gained approaches. Do we just keep riding Justin Thomas train or what?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the ranks, we have it set a couple different ways. Obviously, you have name by name on the survival guide, so you can see it by rank. Then we also have it by class because we want to make sure you just understand we think this is where the cutoff is. We usually do that by like a bell curve type style for anyone that's actually been tracking. That's generally how we come up with the classes. And then if you actually look at the FGM score, it'll give you a sense of the gap between the two. JT and DJ are 10 and 9.7. We always scale it from up to 10. And then Norin is next at 9.17. So we really do have those two ahead of everyone else. Norin and Fleetwood coming right behind them, basically around the same in terms of their score. But it's tough. Thomas, I think it's been really fun if you've been listening to the podcast, watching the tweets, in our chats on Wednesdays. You've seen the progression of like Thomas, and then I'm like, I got Thomas is coming. Thomas is coming. Bet Thomas. And there we have it. And yeah, again, it's kind of tooting my own horn a little bit, but it's like it's been fun to watch it progress. But now he's there, and the same charts that I'm looking at. I mean, there's two main ones that I have that I track, and for one of them, it looks exactly the same. The other one has to do a little with the putting. He did not putt especially well this past week. I mean, right. He putted well enough to win a PGA Tour.
Yeah, I think he was like 28th in strokes gained putting or something like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great. Yeah,
I saw that dip. I don't believe he made a putt outside of 15 feet was a stat that I heard.
Right.
So when you consider strokes gained putting, when you have a guy that's striking it so well and hitting it so close, it's a lot easier to lose strokes gained putting, because if you only have shorter putts, if you miss those putts, those are the ones that are more likely to be made, so you're losing against the field. If you're winning and you're playing well, but you're not making a 40-footer to gain a whole stroke and a half off of a field, that's kind of misleading. So that's the only thing I would say there, but I think it's more of a function of how well he's been striking the ball. So, yeah, I mean, no reason for me to get off of JT whatsoever.
Yeah, and just the way that the Dustin won this event last year, it was all through a sharp approach game. I'm just not sure if he's in the same form. So, I mean, you look at this golf course too, and it does kind of downplay power a bit just because of the tight driving chutes and the altitude. So, I mean, we obviously saw a lot of big hitters do well here, but I'm not saying Dustin Johnson can't win this event, but I mean, I would probably just side with JT again too. He's also cheaper on DraftKings, $400 cheaper. So that's probably the way I would lean too. I mean, and that was, by the way, we always do the 1 versus 1s, but that was, the first one I was going to ask you today. So DJ versus JT, I guess that's our answer. It's obviously really close in the survival guide, but I think you read Justin Thomas for 1 week as well. So the next 1 versus 1 that I had for you, though, this one's interesting because I could almost be convinced either way, although I do have an answer. But it's Tony Finau versus Paul Casey. Casey 8,400 on DK and Finau 8,500.
So just from the raw look on my end, I'm actually on the Paul Casey train.
Right.
But it's not that I'm off Tony Finau. I mean, they both look pretty good to me. I just feel like in this type of event, this type of field, you see Casey show up. I mean, listen, I think the biggest knock on Casey is that he can't get the job done to win. But you know what? We're not talking about Casey versus the field here. We're talking about Casey versus Finau. And I think in this field, you're more likely to see Casey, finish top 10 or at least be in the mix on Sunday. Not that Finau can't, but if we're just talking about likelihood here, that's where my gut is. I don't have a problem with either of the charts that I'm looking at, either of the stats. It's slightly favorable for Casey. They're both kind of short game, and that's probably being generous. But they're very, very similar. It's almost like the way I'm looking at the numbers in front of me right now on the screen. Finau is kind of like a baby Casey.
Right.
So in this type of field, I like Casey, but yeah, I'm not against Finau.
Yeah, I thought Tony Finau played pretty good at Riviera. Some people were like, oh, he's missed a few putts, and he did, but he actually, I thought he performed well down the stretch. He just didn't get the putts to go. It was kind of unfortunate. It's kind of almost like Luke List last week. He just didn't quite get one more putt to go in. So I'm probably exactly the same. I just feel like he should probably just take Casey. I think both these guys are really good value this week, and they'll probably both be popular. I think Finau might even be more popular, but I'd probably side with Paul Casey this week. He actually played pretty well here last year. He had 3 kind of really average rounds, but his last round here last year was like one of the best rounds of the whole tournament, if you go back and look at the data. So just something to note. He kind of might have figured something out in the final round last year. Maybe he carries over to this year. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but just something to throw out there. Next one I had is Phil versus Alex Noren.
So,
and this one, on the face of it, people are like, oh, this is just choose Noren, but
I know it's really.
I like Phil this week too.
It's really interesting, man. I mean, I wrote down in my notes because again, you sent me this little outline for the one-on-ones we've been doing, and I always try and write like my notes for him. And I wrote down, Phil versus Noren, and then I put a heart next to Noren and a brain next to Phil. And the reason I did that is not because I don't like Noren. Obviously, we've been liking him for a while, but if there were no names attached and I went through the same process that I normally do when I'm evaluating players, I think I'd be leaning slightly towards Phil. But yeah, like you said, off the top of my head, I would like, it's got to be Noren, right? But you know what? Noren, he's playing great, and maybe it's just a function of that second round kind of bomb 75 skewing the numbers, but he kind of plateaued and he's been playing great, but I don't see it getting much better. So either he's going to go out there and play the same way, or you look at Phil, who's been putting great, and what I'm seeing as an upward trajectory overall over the last few rounds he's been playing. I think if I wasn't looking at the names, it would be Phil. It's kind of a coin flip in terms of picking him, but it was just interesting that it was close, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's such a good take on Noren too, because I just don't know how much better this guy can play, right? And then obviously, if he keeps playing like he does, it's probably going to pay off. And his salary is, I'm just kind of surprised it went down that much, but I guess it's a WGC field. But I like Phil. I mean, he likes this course too. He was on record as saying he liked it. He likes the creativity of bringing out. So I'm going to give him some credit. I think he was third in strokes gained approaches last time out. The ball striking is there. So this course has some similar grass styles to Riviera, which is kind of nice. I don't know. I'm going to give the edge to Phil in this matchup. I think I'm actually going to have a little bit more Phil than Noren this week. So not something I would normally do, but I'm going to do it this week. Yeah. So next one, Xander Schauffele versus Rafa Cabrera Bello.
Yeah, that's a tough one too. I mean, you always find him in the right spots. Rafa, we actually have him in the first class.
And this setup should be good for Rafa too. I mean, he's a good iron player, right? I mean, he's been playing well. I mean, he actually just really had one poor round last week, but other than that, he's pretty solid. So.
Yeah, we got Rafa in the first class, Xander just in the second class. Like they're not too far off overall. Personally, I got Xander. I like him to putt better at this point. That was one thing that was kind of holding him back, and the ball striking's back to where we would expect from him. So between the two, it's kind of tough because I like Rafa. I don't want to go against the survival guide, and again
not when it's hot, man. Not when it's hot like this,
Well, that's the thing. It's more like I like both of them. I had written both of them down before I had opened the outline, so they're two guys that I really like a lot this week, and especially at those prices. Like if you're building lineups, there's no reason not to play both of them. I mean, I have Xander putting slightly better than Rafa, and I got Rafa trending a little better in ball striking, but as a baseline, Xander's a better ball striker. So they're both kind of like right in the same spot for me. The question might be more about ownership. I think a lot of people have been keen in on Rafa. So that's really more the question for me, where you feel comfortable ownership-wise.
This should be a really good setup for Schauffele, though, too. And I mean, or Schauffele or whatever you want to call him. But and he puts better on pole bent too. So he was actually pretty solid. Oh yeah, he top 10 his last time out. So I mean, yeah, if we get to the ownership levels on Wednesday, I'll load up on Xander here because I really feel like you look at the ball strikers that did well last year, Thomas Peters. obviously Fleetwood. I would put Schauffele in that category personally. So at 7,800, he's trending in good form. Like, I'll take more of that. I do like Rafa this week too, though. I will say that. I think tighter style course, more European style course, definitely good there. So let's see, two more. Steele versus Duffner.
I didn't love either of these.
Neither did I. That's why I put them together.
We had Duffner as one of the outrights. And you listen, coming into the weekend, he was lingering.
He was lingering, yeah.
Midday Saturday, if you would have closed strong, plus put up a big Sunday, there was a small chance. So we liked him. I'm kind of cooled off on him. The chart's kind of flattened out on what I'm looking at. Steele, not really too excited. Again, they both kind of look the same to me on paper if I remove the names. By adding the names, I like Duffner. I just feel like it's kind of the same conversation we just had about Casey and Finau. I just feel like he's more likely to show up in this type of event. And when we're talking a course where strokes gained approach is obviously a key for the 1 year that we've seen data on it, and we put average proximity as one of the main key stats this week. I think he's obviously a guy that's been known for that. So that's where I am on the two of them. I think Duffner a slight edge, but not really thrilled by either of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of the same way. I feel like Duffner maybe starting to round into form now, so I'd give him. He was 23rd here last year, Steele 48th. So I mean, it doesn't mean too much really. They're both in pretty good form, but I'd give a slight edge to Duffner too. So last one, Yusaka Miyazato versus Yuta Ikea. Are you gonna shop at Ikea this week?
So I think I gotta go Akita.
Okay.
I have him ranked a 40th or so in the third class. I mean, we just have Miyazato way down there. They're both around the same in the world rankings. I mean, Yukita's ranked 46th, Miyazato's 54th. I don't know how serious the question really is at the same time. So
it's kind of serious because, if you are making like a few GVP lineups, there's like under 7K. I mean, okay, Johnny Vegas, and then it's like you got to take one of these foreign players on. So I kind of like Ikeda too. He's actually won twice, and I know they're on the Asian tour, but still winning twice over that span is interesting. I mean, he's won twice in the last like 30 weeks or something like that. So or 20 weeks, I think. So I mean, he's been pretty solid. He played over on the Asian tour a few weeks back. He's okay. I don't mind chancing him in like one lineup or something like that, just because it's a no cut event too, right? So, but yeah, it's risky.
Yeah, I just can't give enough about either of them to like make such a bold call one way or the other. I think that's.
Oh no, for sure. No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, we're not endorsing. These aren't our players of the week or anything like that. You did have Chan Kim. Chan Kim's up there in the second class, just barely.
And I'm just realizing I'm looking at the guide. I gotta edit a couple of things and a couple of the data on the.
Gotta edit out Chan Kim.
Well, no. The rankings and everything in terms of the score, that's all correct. But like the summary data I have in there, I think that got jumbled up. So I'll fix that after this. So just.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Note. But yeah, I mean, the rankings are still the same. That I know is correct. So but yeah, Chan Kim again, another guy I don't know too much about, but he did creep up. I mean, he's our highest ranked guy under 7, I believe. He's 6,600. He crept into the second class. That's I don't know. Again, it's not like a lot of data that you have on him, but
for sure.
It seems like of the guys that we're going to take a flyer on, it's him right now.
Maybe it's him, yeah. And I mean, there's a few other players down there. I mean, Wade Ormsby, Brett Rumford. Brett Rumford's an interesting player. Actually, he's really good around the greens. Apparently, I haven't seen him play much, but with the tricky greens here, he might grind out like a top 15 or something. So definitely like a guy who's been around. Won't be intimidated by playing a field like this. So I'd throw his name out there too. Going up a bit, we actually. We talked about Chris Paisley before the podcast. He's a player who's been really trending. I'm actually kind of interested about him this week. I think this course sets up well for him. He's not a big hitter, but hits it straight, really good round and on the greens. I know he hit a bunch of top 20s for me over the last couple of years on the Euro Tour. Just got his first Euro Tour win. So I kind of like him if you're looking like in 7,200. and you need like a real contrarian play, Paisley's the guy I would not be afraid to roster this week at all. Peter Uline's down there too. I don't mind, but let's kind of go back up to the middle and just anyone else you want to talk about that we kind of haven't brought up, because there are a few players that I think should be targeted this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, it's a smaller field, so less guys to kind of really have to dig for. But I don't have any surprise plays. I will be limiting my play this week just because of the way the format is. Probably limit the bets a little bit, but at the same time, we've of the guys that we haven't mentioned that I have interest in, I am still on Hadwin. Obviously, we had him the week prior. Played really well for us. Nothing's changed my opinion there. This is about the same time he got super hot last year, and then he went and won the Valspar, if you remember.
Right, and he's 75-1 this week, just in case people want to know for bets.
So there you go. And then Cantlay is back in action, and his metrics look pretty similar to Hadwin for me. So I like Cantlay a lot. So just for the guys that we haven't mentioned, I don't have anyone I'm super excited about yet, but I like a lot of the guys we've mentioned, and then those are the two guys that we haven't mentioned that I think I'm probably going to have some interest in.
Yeah, Hadwin's definitely interesting to me. Actually, I think out of Steele, Duffner, and Hadwin, I would probably take Hadwin right now. So definitely a player I'm pretty much on target with too. One other player I just want to mention, just a guy who came over from Europe. We talked about maybe a little bit last week, but Dylan Fratelli, or Dylan Fratelli if you're from South Africa, 8,200. Played really well last week. A solo 11th on his first visit to PGA National. Now, this is a player who played his PGA golf or his college golf in the States, so it's probably not like that huge a shock to setup. But I was impressed. I know he's played really well on the Euro Tour, but I wasn't expecting like a top 15 from him, quite frankly. So I think he's a little bit expensive now. Him or Ross Fisher or Thomas Peters. I think most people are going to go Fisher or Peters, but I think he's probably striking the ball better than both those guys right now. So I won't be afraid to click on his name here either.
No, listen, he snuck in. He was a guy, I think he was in our second class last week too. So, again, we didn't really endorse him or talk much about him, but played great. Young player from overseas. There's a lot of them. It's interesting, like the younger guys. I mean, for every young guy that we're excited about in America, there's another young guy overseas that everyone's touting that's going to win the next major. I mean, you got Tommy Fleetwood, you got Kyle Hatton, you got Fratelli, obviously a young up and comer. I mean, 8,200, priced, pretty aggressively, given limited history. So he's interesting. He's definitely interesting, and that's you don't know what you're going to get in these fields. I like to stay with, the known names, people that have experience in the WGCs. But at the same time, I mean, with half a field and guys that are playing hot, there's no reason one of these lesser names can't come up and get a top 10 for you. Right,
and I mean that's the thing. I mean, with good reason. Well, it's pretty much Thomas Peters in really good form. Top 5 Riviera, then came here in top 5. So same kind of deal maybe with Fratelli there. So is there? I'm just gonna go through because we obviously missed some names at the top. We missed them, but we just maybe aren't as popular, aren't gonna be as popular. But if you're taking like a GPP flyer on one of these sort of top names, who are you going to take? We got Sergio, Bubba, Justin Rose, Ricky, Spieth. Obviously, I think Rahm is not necessarily going to be unpopular, but we haven't really mentioned him yet. Is there anyone there that you're really interested in just because of maybe low ownership or both, or that trending? Or?
Well, I actually wrote down another one-on-one. I wrote Sergio versus Rose.
Okay.
for the conversation's sake. But yeah. I'm definitely interested in both of them. I think Sergio obviously disappointed last week, but I don't think he played as poorly as it seemed.
Hit his irons well.
Exactly.
He just putted crap, and I think he was kind of crap off the tee too.
And again, that's why I like to give these guys a week or two, because you know what, they haven't played. Whether it's a jet lag conversation, whether it's they haven't played that much recently. You give him an event or two to get the feel, get the putter going. He's probably going to notice that. These guys are smart. He probably knows he felt like he hit it great and he gave a lot away. Sure, he's working on it. He's going to come out this week. I think he's going to play pretty well. So I'm looking at the numbers for him and Rose, and they're very similar to me. I think you're getting a little better value on Sergio. I'm not sure where the ownership's going to be. I'll wait for Bobby on that because I don't even really dabble there. But yeah, I mean, I like both of them. But obviously you can only roster so many people. So I mean, between the two, who are you going to take if you had to?
It is a really good setup for Sergio, like a tight tree style course. It's very similar to probably a lot of the courses he's played in over in the Euro Tour and in Spain. I think I'd have to go with Rose though, man. Like Rose was in really good form at the end of last year. He's such a good ball striker when he's on. I know he hasn't played that much recently. Just gonna look up here, make sure I know what I'm talking. You know, he was eighth. It's been 5 weeks since he's teed it up, but he was eighth his last time out. So I think that was Torrey Pines. I'd still side with Justin Rose. I feel like Sergio probably could definitely return some good value this week, especially for win. But if you just get down to pure win equity, I'd take Rose here. That's just my take. I like both these guys too, though. I admit. Yeah.
I would agree in terms of win equity, if that's a thing. Then yes, that's I would agree there.
We'll say it's a thing, but anyone else before we kind of move on and get out of here for this week? Any other players we skipped over? It's more limited, but any thoughts on let's see, Dean Burmeister, Gavin Green, Brendan Stone?
I wrote down.
Anyone else?
Pat Perez is interesting to me.
He's 7,400.
He's a guy that I think has not played that well, and a lot of people want him to play well because they think of him as the West Coast guy, so they maybe didn't get what they hoped from him. I could see them maybe being off him, but I don't think he's playing that poorly based on what I'm looking at. So I'm not saying I'm there. He might be a week or two away, but the issue is the putting. I mean, he's putting poorly for him. He's a better putter than is a ball striker. That's kind of always been the case. But I see him trending up in the ball striking department. I see him trending down in the putter. So if he can just bounce back with the putter, I could see him sneaking up on some people this week.
Actually, a good 1-versus-1 there is Henley versus Perez, because Henley's been striking it better lately too.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned him before Pebble Beach, but he played well last week too. That's actually I might side with Henley there just because of the putter with Henley. He gets so hot. Although Perez does definitely it's almost like the Casey versus Finau argument again. I'd expect Perez to perform better in this field, but player-wise, I'd probably take Henley. So, but I do like both those players this week. So, anyways, that's a good way to end it because again, that's another good 1-versus-1 that I think people should be focusing on this week. So, look, we're getting almost less than a month away from Augusta here. Next week after the Mexico, we got Valspar, Bay Hill, then we're right into the home stretch. So we're getting closer, guys. The Millie Maker was actually released on DraftKings today, but they don't have the salaries out yet unless they change it. But salaries will probably be out pretty soon. It's in the lobby. And look, I mean, once that starts getting closer, I'll be starting to release a few previews on the site for FGM subscribers. You can check those out under the articles, do some player profiles, just some quick, previews and stuff like that, and probably coax Steven into doing an extra pod or two for it too. But any last mentions about the site or anything like that before we end here?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of housekeeping. Same thing I sent to the subscribers on Wednesday night. We are going to put out the lineups and rankings this week, regardless of whether I'm happy with them, because I've been saying
the lineup builder. The lineup builder.
Yeah, the lineup. Yeah. So because it's working. So it's just not perfect in terms of maybe a couple design things or a couple extra features.
Just to let listeners know, Steven's a major perfectionist. Now, I've worked with him for only a couple months, but he's definitely, and that's a good thing, by the way. Trust me, that's why the site's so awesome.
Well, again, we're not putting out, to give people an idea, it's not going to be something where you just kind of put 4 or 5 weights on a stat and it takes the rank, then it puts it out. It's you're going to be able to. It might be too much. I'm expecting the reaction from some users to be, this is too much. It's more than I need. Can I get a reduced version? And that's okay. And I do have some ideas for how we can handle that. But that's what I'm expecting. It's it's going to be too much for people to have. But I wanted to give everyone as close as possible to what I have when I'm putting together the model for Survival Guide each week. So if they want to tweak to a very specific percent on any type of feature, that's what we're putting in there. So it might have a couple design flaws that we're going to call this version 1.0, but I'm going to have it on probably Wednesday morning. We'll put it out. We'll let people play with it. We'll get some feedback. It'll be a beta. It'll be a 1.0, and then every week for the next couple of weeks, we'll tune it out. But we're definitely looking to get it out there this week.
I doubt you'll be getting people saying it's too much, but just because I know the people in PGA DFS who love as much customization as possible. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited to use it too, anyways. But that's awesome. Definitely look for that, guys. Obviously, definitely check out. The article's coming out this week. We've got the FanDuel offer still going on, and but. For me and for Steve, have a good week, guys. Hope you got lots of luck at WGC Mexico, and we'll talk again soon.
Take it easy.
Listening to Tupac while we ride the west side. We celebrating like it's Cinco de Mayo again. We don't really need a reason, cause we do this every weekend. Yeah, then it's back to business, cause